Good evening, hello, and welcome to the latest video from the Boardmasters. My name is Chris Mullins, and this evening we will be looking at Superclub, the football manager game. Now, this is a game that a group of guys, I believe it was 4 guys in Norway, created a brand new studio just to create this game basically. And this is what we've got. It's been a game I backed on Kickstarter just over a year ago, and it's been a long wait. And I cannot wait to get it open. In terms of what the game is, it's a game that looks to recreate Football Manager, the video game. It's not licensed, but it's aiming to create those same feelings and tensions and everything that we all love from the game series. In terms of the base game, it is for between 2 and 4 players. There isn't a solo mode, so it does differ from the video games in that perspective. But I think, from what I understand of how the game plays, you will understand that when we look at it in future videos, you'll realise that's probably a good thing, because if you played on your own, you would be simulating all your matches and basically just be relying on dice rolls, which probably isn't as much fun as we would all hope a Football Manager solo board game would be. Why I backed it? If anyone watched the introductory video on my channel, they will know that basically historically my relationship with board games has been that I have bought occasional ones that are linked to a license that I love, as opposed to buying board games because of their reputation as a quality board game, for example. This is just another one of those. Football Manager is a game that pretty much defined my life for 15-20 years. I adored it, spent thousands of hours on all the different iterations. I'll always remember going into Dixon's when the original Xbox launched, and they had a bundle deal, I believe, with Championship Manager 0203, I believe. It could be 0102, so forgive me if I'm wrong on that. But they had it bundled with Championship Manager and Halo, and the sales clerk was devastated because they'd run out of Halo, and as a kid I had no idea what that was, so I didn't care. I just took the bundle with just Championship Manager because that is the main reason why I bought the console. So I'm probably one of the very few original Xbox owners that turned down the chance of owning Halo for Championship Manager, but there we go. That kind of explains my love for the series. So we finally got our hands on it. It's been a long wait. It was on Kickstarter just over a year ago, and I can't wait to crack it open. So let's have a look. One thing I will mention while I'm doing this, as I said, this is just the base game, which is 2 to 4 players. There is an expansion which obviously expands the game up to 6 players and adds more player cards, etc. and all the bits that we'll see in the box. It basically adds more of those to account for the higher player count. As of the time of recording, it's the end of September, so you can't actually buy this game at the time that I'm recording this. But I believe, according to their website, that they are looking to reopen the sales process as of the 2nd of October, I believe. So by the time that this video goes live, that should all have happened, and you should be able to buy the game direct from the Superclub website. It's not a game that's going to retail, as far as I understand, but that may change, I guess, in the future. You may be lucky if some retailers near you got their hands on a few copies from the Kickstarter, but in general, going forward, the only place you'll be able to get hold of this is direct from their website. Crack it open. Here we have the rulebook. Welcome to the club, boss. I'm B-Friend, the club's kit man. Let me show you around the place and introduce you to everyone. So the first thing that strikes me is how beautiful the rulebook is and how concise it is by the initial look. It's very clean, very clear. Feels really good quality. Admittedly, I don't have as much experience with these as people from other channels and maybe you at home, but to me, I really like the feel of that. Looking forward to diving into that over the next few days as I learn to play the game, and hopefully we'll have some future videos going on how to play the game and with playthroughs with my friends and stuff going forward. This is one of the player manager folders for Blue Mountain United. I understand in the production process that these folders actually caused a bit of problem for the makers because of the type of paper they use, and that during the second phase of the game, when you're in the season, the folders are kept closed so you can't see what other managers are doing. But there was an issue that some of the paper was transparent, I believe, under certain light, and so they had to source some specific paper to actually make it non-transparent, which did delay the production of the game. But looking at these now, they are excellent quality, and I'm glad they made that decision. But we've got Purple Plain Athletic, Red Valley Rovers, and Yellow Bay Town. Again, I know part of the campaign towards the end, they actually made a big deal of personalising the clubs to give them proper names and badges, and whereas before they were just sort of generic and not too interesting, but I think they've done a really good job of that in the meantime. This, I believe, is the keyboard in terms of this is where the majority of the information is kept. So this is the league table, which defines your status as a club, which impacts how much money you earn. All your cards, or most of your cards, are kept here. The players are kept in a different areas for your money. The season fixture list, depending on how many players you've got. As you can see, if with 2 players you've got quite a lot of sims. If you were to play it, if they had a solo mode, you would be simulating all your matches, and the way this game simulates the matches is through dice rolling. So I can understand why people would be frustrated there isn't a solo mode, but as I said earlier, I think it's probably a good call given the mechanics of this. Let's move that rulebook a moment, because it looks like this is the player draft board. So initially, at the beginning, you set up your player squads from claiming players from this draft, and then you turn it over for the world of football, and that's basically your transfer market and your scouting and where the player database is kept in terms of the cards. Here it looks like we've got the facilities for each club. So again, it's the 4 teams as before, and each team has a training pitch, scouting network, and their arena. And as you go through the game, there's an investment phase in the off season where you will be paying money to upgrade each of these areas in order to boost your team and boost your squad, so that the training pitch you'll be able to develop the potential of players. The scouting will enable you to scout more players here, and the stadium will give you more income depending on what level you're on. But again, the quality of those is really good. I really like that. That is really impressive. These bits are the captain boosts based on after your first season, depending on who finished first, second, third, or 4th. If you're playing up to 4 players, each player will get one of these depending on where they finished, and basically you can use that to give yourself a boost for when you're playing matches. So if you come 4th, you will get a boost of +4 to whichever position you choose to assign that to, whereas if you came first, although you'll get more money, you will get less of a boost during the matches the next season. So it's a way of, I guess, trying to stop players dominating. If they get a handy first squad in the draft, they're not just going to blow everyone away. Hopefully this will allow people to catch up and keep it a relatively even playing field. And then let's see what we have in here. And we've got some sleeves, we've got some cards here. Okay, so these are the money cards, which are okay quality. I guess, working in a bank and being used to the new sort of plasticky notes that we have, it's a very different feeling to what I'm used to, but that's nice. Certainly a step up from Monopoly money anyway, so I'll take that. These are some of the players, which are obviously key component of the game because they're going to define your success. I'll try and hopefully not make this too rattly and crinkly as I open them. Okay, so with each of these players, they have different positions. So, for example, yellow cards are midfielders, I believe. Your green cards are your strikers. Your red cards are defenders. And there are goalkeepers in here as well, which are sort of white and red. I don't know if I'll be able to find one. There's one. So goalkeeper would be that colour. As you can see on each of these cards, they've got varying numbers of stars. The number of filled-in stars is their current ability level, so that will define the strength of your squad. As we can explore later in further videos, I'll show you how that works on the board, although they do have a very good tutorial on their site. You will also see some of these cards have got clear stars, which is their potential, which you can increase using your training facilities, your training pitches. So the basic one is add max 1 star to 1 player. As you invest in those, you'll be able to add more stars to more players each season. So even if you don't get a world-class team of 4 and 5 star players from the initial draft, if you get players with the right potential, develop your training and get lucky with the dice rolls, you can still catch up. We've got another bundle of cards here. This is the key staff by the look of it, and also the Superclubs. So let's look at these Superclubs first. Basically, one of the winning conditions of the game is, well, one of them is the first club to get to 100 points. They will win the game. The other one is each season the winner gets one of these super clubs, and they have to keep it face down by their cards, and when they obtain 3, so when they've won 3 seasons, they can then choose to challenge one, and if they win, then they are the super club. And I guess depending on difficulty, these are going to range, like for example Delhi there with a 9, a 12 and a 16. Doesn't look like it would be too hard to beat them. But then you get to some of these teams that we got Milano 16, 20, 21, London 22, 21, 15, 19, 19, 21 for Amsterdam. So there is quite a big range here. So certainly if you want to win, you want to be getting a team like Delhi or Copenhagen or Tokyo, which will give you a much easier game in the final. But because you don't get to pick them, you get 3 random ones, and then you have to select one of those at random. You never really know what you're going to end up with. In here, right, so these ones are the upgrades on the facilities. So we've got for example, the purple team. They start with the purple playing field. They can upgrade then to the park, then the arena and the Colosseum. As far as I'm aware, it's the same for every colour, but the more you upgrade the stadium, at the end of every season when you start the finance phase, you'll get more money depending on the size of your stadium as well as the size of your squad. So if you're how strong your squad is in terms of the total stars you have, give you how much money. But yeah, there's the same cards for each team there basically. And we've got a different set of cards. These are called the Game Changers, and these are relevant for in the on season when you're playing your matches. Basically, there is a mechanic in the game where if you roll a double dice, so 1 and 1 or 2 and 2, if you don't have a player in the relevant slot, then you draw one of these. And some of these can be really bad by the look of it. So we've got gambling problems. So your left midfielder has gambled his way into crushing debt. He needs to take the rest of the season off to receive treatment for his addiction. So if you get that in the first game of the season, you've lost one of your starting midfielders, who presumably will be one of your better ones, for the entirety of the season. Or we've got one that's a bit more positive. We've got the Magic Eye Spray. This injury is healed on the pitch. The player can stay on. So that allows you to get away with an injury, which happens when you roll a double dice, but there is a player in that slot. That player would then be injured for the rest of the season, unless you had a Magic Eye Spray that you wanted to use, in which case the player would not be injured. So these obviously change the game up a lot and look like a lot of fun to play with. Oh, red cards, so yeah, we don't want any of those. There we go. So there's those. We've got the key staff here as well. So we've got one on the table already, and Tika Taka, the offensive coach, so +3 attack. So when you're playing a match, basically you play it in thirds, so attack v defense, midfield v midfield. If you've got this guy, Mr. Kataka, working for you, when you are playing your attack against the opposition's defense, you'll get a +3 bonus to attack, so that's very handy. Jet Setter gives you an extra scout card for when you're trying to buy players. El Capitan even, is a leadership coach who gives your captain boost +1, so if you have one of these. So if you have the +4 and you get a +1 on top of that, you're going to be getting +5 every time. So these again will make a huge difference to your team, and you'll be able to hire those during the off season at the similar phase, I think, to when you upgrade your facilities and buy players. Other than that, we have another pile of player cards. I'm not going to open those at the moment because they're basically going to be the same as those. And then we've got the collection of dice. So we've got 2 each for each team, which are colour coded, which I think is nice. From what I've looked at the rules, there's quite a lot of dice rolling in terms of your training and resolving the matches. As you can see on some of these, a sim roll, depending on the size of the team, will dictate how much you need to roll to win that simulated match. So you'll be rolling for those, as well as rolling during matches against other people, which brings in that element of randomness that we all know and love in sport, so that even the worst squad could potentially beat the best squad as long as you get the dice rolling in your favour. And then we've got the point scorers. Do we have anything else in here? I thought there were supposed to be circle trackers, but I'm not seeing those right now, so maybe there's an issue that they haven't been put in the box, or are they under the insert? So that's a bit worrying, because it may be that they have, either I'm missing them or they're not here. But I'll have a look for those again. I don't see them in there. Also, we've got a few extra things, this exclusives from back in the Kickstarter. So for anyone who followed the Kickstarter campaign, you will know the superstar striker is a certain Garibaldi. He is, as far as I'm aware, the only 6-star player that starts in the game. And we've got the golden Garibaldi for backing the Kickstarter campaign. And he does look pretty stunning there. And then we have a new batch of players here, which, if you remember the players I showed you earlier, these are a completely different colour, and that is because they are utility players. So purple players are utility players, and that means they can play in any position without losing ability, whereas the yellow, red, green, and, well, goalkeepers you can play out position as far as I'm aware, but any of the other players would lose stars if you play them out of position, whereas these utility players don't. So that seems to be everything we've got there. Oh, hang on, here, I think here we've got the point tokens are on the bottom of here, so they are in the box, panic averted. I just didn't notice them in the bottom of the push board there. So we do have those, and they mark the strength of your squad in terms of how many stars you have, and then these move from there and add on the points that you obtain during the season to show who wins the league, basically. But having unboxed everything, I'm absolutely thrilled with the quality of everything. It looks great in my view, and I cannot wait to play this. With C19, I'm not sure how soon that's going to be until I can have some people around here. But I'm really looking forward to it, and I will be revising on the rulebook and hopefully do a how to play video and go into the rules a bit more in depth. I know they've got a video on their site, but I think there may have been some bits that weren't necessarily clear in terms of some of the processes, and hopefully I'll expand on that and just give my impressions on how I think it will play out. But if you've watched up until now, again, thank you very much. I do really appreciate anyone spending this amount of time with me. I hope many of you will give this game a try once it's available on their website. And if you are interested in the game, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, because there will be plenty of additional content on this. Because out of all the games that I've ordered, this is the one game that most of my friends, who, being huge football fans but not board game fans, a lot of them want to play this game. which I wish I'd known in advance, because I only bought the 2 to 4 pack and I didn't buy the expansion pack because I didn't think I'd have up to 6 people to play the game, including myself. Whereas now, this is probably looking like the one game where I will have that sort of player count. So I may be looking to buy that on the website when that is available as well. But again, I just want to say thank you very much for spending your time with me, and I hope to see you all again soon. Have a good evening. Thank you.